Today we're joined by Rich Isaac, Sandler trainer in Long Island, New York. Rich, you are one of the calmest people I know.
First of all, Nema, I'm not as calm as people think. Second of all, it's on Long Island, not in Long Island. And third of all, you called Dan Macias the best dressed guy in Sandler. Clearly, this dispels that thought.
Rich, what are the behaviors, attitudes, and techniques you're suggesting that your clients really practice during this period that we're in?
Yeah, Nema, I like to think in terms of care, and care. And I have actually two different definitions along those three words. And let me just start with the attitude side. In Sandler, I like to think in these terms. Obviously, most salespeople, when they're in front of a prospective client, at some level are trying to sell them. They're trying to turn them turn this prospect into a customer. And I say to my clients, when I say stop selling, I don't mean it figuratively. I mean it absolutely literally. And I don't mean to say to a prospective client, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything, because that's what a typical salesperson says. So I suggest that they approach this with a completely different mindset, which is, I'm here to qualify or disqualify someone, to really figure out if there's a need or not. And the best way to be in that position is to truly be thinking about, I simply care about this person. I care about what is best for this person first and foremost. And if I can focus on that, then it completely changes the rapport associated with it. People really can pick up on what you're feeling. So if you can really put yourself in that mindset, don't get me wrong. We want to bring in more business. But any one particular conversation, if we're really in the mode of, I'm truly focused on caring about what's best for this person. If I'm part of that equation, great. If I'm not part of that equation, it's not a problem. We shake hands and we part friends.
Yeah, so I think that's really important, the idea of, stop selling, start qualifying. So I'm curious, you mentioned how you have a care, and care. So maybe from a behavior perspective, what's the second care you're referring to?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to loop over to technique, if you don't mind, before I come back to the behavior side.
I do mind. I don't mind. Go ahead.
Great. So I'm going to use the same word, care, C-A-R-E, on the technique side. So one is a mindset. The other is a technique. And what I mean by that, one of our Sandler colleagues, Chip Doyle, always used to say, if you can approach a conversation in two modes, I'm curious and I'm skeptical. Curiosity will just elicit questions, and skeptical means you don't believe what everybody says. Not that you think they're lying, but it'll cause you to do some negative reverse. For those of you that know Sandler, it'll cause you to ask a few more questions, like, really? Is that really a problem? So notice the techniques associated with those. Those come from, because you care about that person, what are you going to do if you care? What are you going to do from a technique perspective? Even if you don't know a whole bunch of Sandler techniques, you're going to ask questions. You're going to focus on what's important to them. And of course, again, in these very unusual times, it's even more important to be in that mode, both from a mental perspective and a technique perspective, to take the focus away from you and to be focusing on what's really important to them. I know it doesn't sound like a technique, but I believe if you're in the mindset of caring, that's the attitude side, then naturally you're going to do what people who care do, which is to ask questions, to be empathetic, to be nurturing, because that's what people who care do. And those are all techniques.
Yeah, I think, and I think by process of elimination, we would now be on behavior. Before we get to behavior, or maybe you can even loop it into behavior, I feel that it's difficult right now to practice those techniques because for a lot of people, their opportunities are less than they were a few months back. And so the idea of having that skepticism, that curiosity part, it may be difficult because people are feeling the pressure on themselves to sell. So is there either a behavior side that can help with that? And this may be that third care you're alluding to.
Yeah. So really, really good question. It's interesting. I feel like these times actually just accentuate, exacerbate, overemphasize the same things we normally talk about in Sandler, which is that if we're desperate for business before this whole thing happened, it's not going to do well for us. It's even more true now. So it really takes a sense of patience to be thinking in terms of what's truly best for this person, even in the context of saying things like, it sounds like not now is not the perfect time. When would be for us to continue this conversation? So giving people the opportunity to feel safe in this environment will draw them towards you. And if not today, then in 3 weeks or 6 weeks from now, when things start to sort of come back into the more normal. Let me talk about the behavior side, though, and I'm going to give you a different KARE for a moment, which some of you may know the acronym KARE, K-A-R-E, which is when you're thinking about the things you're doing every day, are you focusing on the different types of ways in which we can build our business? Are you doing behavior around what we call K or keep clients? These are folks, and especially in these days, what can you do to add additional value to your relationships with clients so that they stay with you, even in these difficult times? A stands for attain. Are you spending time focusing on brand new business? Some people think it's difficult to do right now. I would submit to you that it's really not any different than any other time. The conversations may sound different, but people are still out there. In fact, sometimes easier and more accessible. R stands for recapture. Those clients that you've done business with in the past, can you bring them back into your fold? Great opportunity now for reaching out to people you've done business with in the past to see how they're doing. It may create new opportunities. And E then stands for existing clients. Can you expand the business that you're doing with them? And we want to differentiate between those keeps, which is pretty much there's not a lot of expansion capability, and those E, those expand, which definitely do have more capability. So when I ask you to think in terms of behavior of KARE, segment your time and your activity focused in all 4 of those areas, and you're going to have a much broader scope in terms of the behavior you'll be doing every day.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, Rich. And it sounds like right now you probably have different talk tracks and plans on the behavior side for those different KARE categories. Sandler Worldwide Shoutouts. As Rich alluded to, we are going to define our clients based off of keep, attain, recapture, and expand. Technique-wise, it's that other KARE, the KARE with a C. We are going to seek to be curious but also skeptical in our conversations. And the attitude is kind of to stop selling and to start qualifying. So I hope you guys learned something. Good luck out there and happy selling. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, actually, I was